Hello, my name is Judy. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to think this video is probably pretty short, mainly because we don't actually have an honest answer. And as much as I have thought about all the things spiritual, hopefully I'll come to an answer while I'm talking to you, but I don't know that I have an absolute one. I just have a sense of what maybe it could be. I probably might be wrong. I don't know. Before I get started on this little talk, though, if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate that. Today we're going to really be talking about why did God create human people, man. And you know, the assumption here is that we are the only ones who got created, but I'm sure there's other planets. I mean, there's so many universes, it's impossible to imagine that out of all the universes and all the star systems, that only one planet in all of that was perfectly set up for life. So my feeling is that we're not alone physically either. I looked this up though. The question is, why did God create man? What is the purpose of that? And I actually Googled it a couple of times because I've put thought into this a little bit from what I know and tried to piece some kind of an answer to that together. I'm just not sure of the answer, and I don't even know if I need to be. I mean, maybe it's a question we don't need to ask because who cares why we're here, right? I'm going to read a couple of things that were answers on Google. One says, God created us, and I actually joked about this in one of the other videos I got, maybe the very first one. I don't know, I think it was the very first, well, not the intro, but the first one, like, why are we here? I think I joked about this, not realizing that it's actually in the Bible. Maybe it came from my reading the Bible years ago, and I kind of forgot it. But anyway, it says, God created us for His pleasure to know, love, and worship Him, and to be happy with Him in His kingdom of heaven forever. God created us for His pleasure, like hamsters in a cage, to know, love, and worship Him. Now, I have a problem with that idea, and maybe they're right. 100% they could be right. I don't know. My thought is that if God is love, and love is true divine love, would be unconditional, would not have ego, would not have insecurities, because it is a living, breathing thing. And if that is so, which I believe it is, what would God need to be worshipped and loved? And I mean, it sounds like He's insecure. And He's very playful if He wants us just to be like, little people in little houses walking around doing things. That doesn't make sense to me. It sounds like man has put on God. You know how they always say that God made man and God in His image? It sounds like man is making God in His image. Do you know what I mean? That's such human stuff. Anyway, another one says, I might like this one better. Let me see. The purpose of humanity is to look after the world that God has created, like caretakers or stewards, which we're not doing a very good job of. It just doesn't ring true for me. Can I come up with something better? We'd have to talk about the Big Bang, and I am going to talk about that because that's something that I think we need to know. Not just the theory of the Big Bang and all that good stuff, but why are there souls? What are these souls? That kind of thing. So, and soulmates, that kind of thing. I got to talk about that. That's a big topic, And I can imagine that once I start talking about it, I won't quite be able to shut up. Maybe not. Maybe I'll say 4 sentences and be done, but you can already tell that's probably not the case. So my thought about why God created us. I tend to think that we weren't necessarily created. I think we were always just like God. Not Judy, not Tom, Dick, and Harry, as I often refer, but as soul, my belief is that we are a part of God. We are not God, because God is all of us combined. All things, all energy, all everything is God. But we are a small, tiny piece of that, a subatomic particle of God. And so if God has always existed, which I'm going to assume it must have been always existing, because where would it have come from otherwise? Then we also have always been existing as a part of it. I think the idea of human beings eventually evolving from apes or whatever, I believe in Darwinism, if you want. I think the stories in the Bible were sweet, but I think they're very symbolic. I don't know that there was really an Adam and Eve walking around and talk to a snake. If you can believe that snake talks, and tells her to eat the apple, it kind of sounds like Snow White with the witch that gives her the poisonous apple. And then all of a sudden everything's, anyway. Just my thought. But what I really think is if energy has always been, if there's always been energy in some form, and the universe itself, because there's so many universes, but if the all of all universes has just always been, we don't really have to have a beginning and an end. I mean, in human life, everything begins and ends, but in the world of everything else, there may not be a beginning and ending. It may just always be. And that's a hard concept, because in our world, that is not how it is. But in the world of spiritual things or God things, it seems like it makes more sense. So my thought is that once evolution occurred and there were living, breathing things crawling around and eventually walking around, without much purpose, it's possible that soul, all the millions and billions of souls that make God up, because God is energy and so are these things walking around, that we became a part of that for the purpose of expanding. And I don't know if God uses the word love necessarily. I mean, it's a human word. Maybe whatever love is, the only thing we can think of is divine love, but it probably is so much more basic than that. And as the universe expands, it expands because soul keeps learning more and more and more. And I'm not even just talking about human soul. I mean, chipmunk soul. They don't have as much to learn because animals are so much more genuine than humans. But, if I could really sit and think about it long enough and actually try to articulate what I'm thinking, it could just be that the natural progression when you have matter is that you use it and be a part of it to expand on this thing that we call God, which is everything. So I don't know if he was up there in heaven looking down at the earth and saying, hey, I'm going to do this. Because the earth is matter, and matter is energy, and energy is everything, and so is God. So was there a separation there? I don't know. I'm not sure that there's a separation with God and anything, because I think everything is God. Again, just a thought. So what I'm going to do is assume that I'm right. Why not? And that is the answer to the question. It's a big thing to wrap your head around because it's so much bigger than anything that even our wildest imaginations can probably picture. You know, that everything has always been. But we are getting better. If you think what I've said is interesting or at least thought-provoking, would you please hit that like button for me? I appreciate that. And I honestly would love to hear what you think. Not what you read, but what you think. Let me know. Don't care if you don't agree with me, that's okay. This is just Judy's little mind going, you know, in her little special way. Very special. So I will be back, of course, with another video.